Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest episode in the I Meet series. Today I'm meeting Ranveer Kaur, a life actuary who has an excellent YouTube channel where she shares her actuarial knowledge regularly as well as an active social media presence. Welcome Ranveer.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
It's a pleasure. So my first question to you is, why did you choose to become an actuary, and more specifically a life actuary?
So I guess the idea was first put in front of me when a friend of mine at university mentioned the career path, and I had heard of it briefly before but had never really bothered to look much into it. I didn't really know too much about it. So following from that, I decided that I should do a bit more research into it. And after doing research, I realized that this was a career path that required strong mathematical skills, strong problem solving skills, strong analytical skills, and quite a lot of other things. But those three kind of stood out to me. I have studied maths at university, so I felt as though those attributes kind of matched and aligned with what I thought. Yeah, I feel as though I am quite strong in terms of maths. So I thought, yeah, I could give this a shot, work in this profession, see how it goes. This seems very interesting to me. And yeah, I decided to apply for internships, but I wasn't successful in obtaining one in an actuarial role, and instead I was offered one in tax. And because of this, I thought maybe becoming an actuary isn't for me. But then I changed my mind and thought, no, I'm going to go at this one again. I'm going to apply for a master's in actuarial science, really learn more about it, and see if there's any way that I can kind of convert my internship in tax to an actuarial grad scheme. And yeah, luckily I was able to do that. I really kind of pushed forward and tried to communicate with people from within the actuarial department, and I think that really helped. And the fact that I was doing an actuarial science master's degree really showed that I was keen. So I guess, yeah, that made me realize, yeah, I'm going to just go forward with this, keep going with it, and see how it goes. I still didn't really have a clear understanding of what the job would entail, but I thought it was just an exciting new opportunity. I'll go for it. And life specifically, there's not actually a set reason for this, because I essentially just applied for a lot of different roles at different companies. I had applied for pensions roles, I'd applied for roles in general insurance and life insurance. I honestly didn't mind too much about which sector I wanted to work in. They all interested me quite a lot. But I think, yeah, I was really happy with the decision I made to work in life insurance. The way the life business is, it has a long-term nature, so you kind of have to take into consideration optimization and investment options as well. And I know, I guess, with GI business, it's quite short term, so there's not that side of it to it. But I think with both sides, there's some interesting aspects to it. But I think that side of life kind of attracted me, I guess, and is the reason why I'm still working within life insurance. There's quite a variety of work that I can get involved with, and I really like that. So yeah, it keeps the job really interesting and just not boring at all, I guess. But yeah, I guess for you've been working in general insurance, so I guess you probably have a lot to say about the pros of working in general insurance. I guess, why did you decide initially to work within that area?
Yeah, well, I should start by why I chose to become an actuary, and actually I didn't. It chose me. So I have a slightly convoluted life story to become an actuary. So I absolutely loved maths at school, and I enjoyed problem solving, and I had career guidance where they introduced this completely unheard of profession, the actuarial profession, to me. As you know, it was my ideal job based on all of the analysis they did. I told my dad about this, who is an accountant, who just said, you don't want to be an actuary, you want to be an accountant. But fortunately I didn't listen to him. But for me, things didn't go quite as straightforwardly. So I did really well at school, got into a good university, but then I had a bit of a torrid time. So I actually ended up leaving without a degree, which was very stupid, and I'm very lucky that it happened 25 years ago rather than now, because I would have been dead in the water now. And just what happened was I was just leafing through the local job adverts, and I saw a post which was looking for people who were good at maths, good at computers, communication, and I thought it's basically describing me. So I went for it, and ended up, by chance, basically getting a job at this very small firm, literally only 8 people when I joined it, which just happened to be staffed by some of the best GI actuaries in the whole market. They just left a big consultancy to form their own little consultancy, and that tiny little firm turned into this global consultancy success story called EMB, who got bought up recently, about 10 years ago, by Willis Towers Watson. So I just was very lucky to sort of just join there, and grew with these amazing people who just wanted to teach and spread best practice, and so I just grew with them. So there was no leaning at all towards GI for me. I just basically found myself in this amazing company doing really interesting work, learning from the best, and I just grew into it. GI, quite a new thing. Probably 50 years ago there was 2 GI actuaries or whatever, and now there's hundreds, and we've proved ourselves invaluable to insurance companies, and so that's why they're just everywhere, GI actuaries. And now we're actually looking beyond and going, can we get into sports, and can we get into retail, and can we get into whatever else, because we've got these fantastic transferable skills, and we're backed by a profession, so people can see that we are very competent people. So yeah, I mean, I haven't regretted for a day working in GI, but I can't compare it to life or pensions or investments, because I haven't done it. But I certainly wouldn't regret. I wouldn't change it. I haven't regretted one day of working in GI. It's been fantastic. So
I guess I've also had. Oh, sorry.
Carry on. I'm done.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've also had the opportunity to work in GI at my firm. And I actually worked on a reserve review for a large insurer. And I worked on, I was looking at the marine and liability classes of business. I found that so interesting. I guess the one turn off for me was just that it was very long hours. But I now realize that was probably just because of that specific client, or that kind of the nature of that project. It wasn't necessarily a GI specific thing, but yeah, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm working so hard, such long hours. It was definitely worth it though, because those busy weeks were where I pretty much learned the most. And I feel like looking back, that those weeks where I was extremely busy are the weeks where I actually learned the most in my career up until now. So that's quite crazy. And I think, I shouldn't have kind of let that excuse of, it's just it's long hours, kind of scare me away from GI, because it is like a really interesting area. As you said, it's quite like a new area that's emerging, and it's growing very fast as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that GI is endemically late hours. I try and work sensible hours. So I don't think there's anything in GI which you must work later than life. So please don't let that one experience put you off.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not telling you to move, but don't let that one experience put you off considering it if an opportunity comes up in the future. So, so talking about the institute and the backing they give us, I see you've done well in your exams today, and obviously you did very well, in your school and degrees. So I just wonder if you have any tips you would give people around passing exams.
Yeah, sure. So I guess, thank you. I wouldn't say I've done extremely well. I have had to resit a couple of exams a few times, but I guess, I do have some tips that I think did work well for me for the exams that I did pass. I'd say being prepared and organized very early on just really worked well for me and really helped. I think when I first started working, I thought it was quite excessive to start preparing for an exam months and months in advance. But you quickly realize that when you have a job, you can't just start studying for the exam a month before. You really do need to be organized well in advance. It is necessary to make a start quite a few months ahead of that exam sitting. So I guess having a plan in place and just making sure that you are very well organized, that you're kind of keeping track of your progress as well within that plan will really help set you up nicely. You should also kind of give yourself enough time to attempt as many past papers as possible. That's something that I found is extremely helpful. The IFOA provide a vast number of past papers dating back to like 2000. You obviously don't need to go that far back in terms of practice questions, but doing practice questions and past papers is just so useful. I think, like with work, you learn a lot through repetition and kind of doing those tasks over and over again. Then it's something that just becomes like that. You just kind of pick it up very quickly. And I believe ACTED, the actuarial education company, recommend that you start attempting past papers at least 4 to 6 weeks before the exam as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And yeah, above all, you just have to stay motivated throughout, but expect peaks and troughs in motivation, because there will be some days where you're really not understanding a topic, but you really have to push through. And I guess maybe take a step back, even stop for the day and revisit it another day. There will be some topics that you'll find are not useful to your specific role, but they are required in order to become qualified. So you really do need to push through and stay motivated. So I guess those are the main pieces of advice that I would have. I don't know, I guess, do you have anything to add to that? I guess it's been a while since you've had to take exams, but I don't know if there's anything else that I've missed out, maybe?
Yeah, well, due to my unorthodox career route, I've passed a lot of professional exams in my time. So, I've, over 20, probably getting close to 30 professional exams. And, although I've had,
Wow.
1 or 2 fails along the way, I've pretty much got through those exams first or second time. And, it felt like I was a lot better at exams later in life than I was at school. And I think the reason for that was that at school, you kind of focus on learning the course. Whereas, as you said, when you're working, you don't have time for a purist approach about learning everything. You actually just need to be ruthlessly efficient and focused to pass the exams. And that's what it's all about. It's not about sticking every last bit of the course up here. You just need to pass the exams and move on to the next one. And, as you were talking there, lots of tips are sort of bubbling up in my head. So maybe I need to do a video on this to get those out one day. But just for now, I think the most important thing I'd say is time management. So, your purpose when you go into that exam room is to just get as many marks as possible and get out again. So you've got to be super strict on your timing, your time for planning, time for answering, time for reviewing, and sticking to that schedule in the exam room, not running out of time, not overrunning on a certain question. And I think probably the best time management tip of all, and lots of people get this wrong, is don't fall into the black hole that is a mathsy question. And it sounds a ridiculous piece of advice in an actuarial exam, but you do get these questions where it draws you in because it just looks like simple maths, but you get into it and suddenly realise you've got to do hundreds of calculations to get, a dozen marks or something. And, that's assuming you don't get any maths wrong. And you just end up there getting overexcited, getting into the maths, and suddenly, you've wasted half your exam time on, 12 marks, and you just can't do that. You've got 12 marks of time. You've got to stick to that. So watch out for those mathsy questions. Don't get drawn in to them. Maybe go to that one near the end when you've got a limited time budget, rather than jumping in at the start and missing all that time you could have spent elsewhere.
Yeah, that's really helpful, because I have found myself really kind of spending a bit too much time on a question, especially a maths related one, where I think, I'm coming to the end of it. I just need to solve this simultaneous equation and it'll be fine. And then suddenly there are so many unknowns that I need to figure out, and it's just wasted 20 minutes of my exam where I could have been gaining marks elsewhere. So yeah, that's really helpful.
Points make prizes is the motto for the actuarial exams. If you're not putting a new point down, you're wasting your time, and those calculations just don't get enough points. So go to that at the end of the exam. So let's talk a little bit about working on projects. So have you got any examples where someone, senior, junior, did something which really helped a project to go well that you were working on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say there have been quite a few examples of where I guess senior members have kind of spotted errors in not just my work, but also junior members' work, where I've just been so surprised at how they were even able to spot that. And there have often been times where I've been struggling with a piece of work, and I guess, yeah, my senior would just kind of step in and take off some of that workload for me. And that has been very appreciated. And obviously you would want your junior members to carry out these tasks and learn from their mistakes and learn from trying, since this is a whole ongoing cycle of like teaching and learning. But I guess there comes a point where if it's taking someone too long to get the work done, then as a senior you would want to step in and kind of help push that forward. And then on that kind of topic of taking too long with a task, I think efficiency and automation in tasks is quite major in that. As a junior, so when I first started working, when I was told to do a task, I kind of, there was a set way to do it. I just kind of stuck with that and followed that step-by-step method, not really necessarily thinking too much into how long it was taking me to get the task done. And so not realizing that this could actually be causing a delay in the project, and this could be somewhere where the project can be improved. But I think, yeah, I've learned from one senior in particular, was that they would challenge that. And I think a particular example is in terms of like data processing, where possible, wherever you can kind of see that you're taking quite a long time to get a task done, see if there's a more efficient way to do it. And it may actually take a while to get that efficient process up and going. But once you have that going, in the long term, that's going to be so helpful. And I feel as though, yeah, in specific projects I've worked on, there's definitely been that increase in efficiency as each year goes by, where we've kind of worked with the same client on a similar project. And then we can kind of use that in another project for a different client, and kind of, yeah, it just really helps save so much time. And I think that really helped in a particular project I was working on, where we were working quite long hours, and then I think a senior member kind of just took time out to really figure out how they can kind of improve efficiency. I think it was quite a lot of time taken out on their part, but it did really help the rest of the team out. So yeah, I guess that was kind of a vague example, but I guess it would be good to hear your perspective on whether you have any tips or advice on how a junior member like me could ensure that projects go well, or how I can kind of, yeah, help as well.
Definitely. Well, I mean, first thing is I would definitely back up the automation point. I think that's the number one, maybe not number one, maybe actuarial math skills is number one, but certainly right up there is having the sort of automation, Python, R, machine learning skills, because like you say, making things more efficient it's just necessary. There's so much work to do and so little time. So if you can just automate it, write a macro, write some code, it's just exactly what's almost expected of people now, and it's building dashboards and whatnot. The point I would make, and it's quite a general, but I think it has some really good benefits and it avoids some really bad downsides, is junior people, the best thing they can do is shift. It's a mindset shift from task focused to what I call a project mindset. And this has two benefits. So the real upside is if you start thinking about projects rather than tasks, you'll start to understand your work holistically. You'll realise that little bit you're doing is actually part of a bigger project, which leads to a key message going to someone on the back of that work, and that message could have a really sizable impact on them. It could be that they lose their job, or it could mean they get a big bonus, or it could mean that we shut down a division, or we fire people, or we hire people. You'll understand better how your work fits in with the insurer you work for, and how insurers operate and make money. When you're making all those, you're going through all those thought processes, you'll probably want to ask questions to understand it all better. and that will demonstrate to senior people that you care about what you're doing and you want to learn more. And as a senior person, you get that, and you're just like, yes, this is a good person. They want to understand more. They want to know what they're doing. They're not just turning a handle and then just passing it on. Now the downside. So you do not want to fall into this downside. If you work in a silo on a task by task basis, then you're going to fall into what I'd call is one of the most annoying habits that junior actuaries sometimes make, and that's where you're the junior person. You're here in this task. There's a task here. There's your task. There's another task, and you ignore your task and the deadlines because the person giving it to you, giving you your inputs, hasn't done what they're doing. So you just go, well, I can't do my work. No, that's you're responsible for your task. You need to do it, and you need to do it on time and hand it over. So don't just ignore the fact that this data hasn't come in and just carry on ignoring it. Get on the phone to that person, find out what they're doing. They probably have finished and they sent it to you, but you missed the email, or they sent it to the wrong email address, or they think they finished and told you but they haven't. And this is how projects fall behind. And if you're a senior person, you can't be micromanaging each of these little relationships. You have to rely on people to take responsibility. And if you see people in your team who are just working in that little silo and not taking responsibility, you just lose trust in working for them. So there's a massive benefit if you think project wise. You'll learn more, you'll impress senior people, and you'll avoid working on projects that run late and suddenly you're scurrying around working late to catch up, and senior people are just not happy with what you're doing. So just do that small mindset shift, and you'll really see a benefit to how you get on.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Definitely, as a junior member, taking more initiative and just being more proactive as well. Yeah, that's very helpful, and I will definitely keep that in mind through my work as well. So thank you for that.
Excellent. Well, I think that was everything I wanted to say. Unless you want to say anything now, I will wrap up. So thank you very much, Ranveer. And you will teach me how to pronounce your name properly next time, for taking the time to talk to me today. I've really enjoyed meeting you, and I'm really confident that my viewers and yours will learn a lot from our discussion. If you're on my channel, please do check out Ranveer's channel if you haven't already done so. You'll find the other half of this discussion there. Loads and loads of informative, insightful and fun videos for you to catch up on. I'll put a link here on this page hopefully, and in the comments, so if you haven't found Ranveer, you can in future. And do get in touch with me. Let me know if there's other interesting people you'd like me to meet in future episodes of iMeet. For now, please like and subscribe to support these videos and encourage new ones. But for now, thank you very much. Goodbye.